Yo, top of the morning, man. Today is February the 2nd, 2023. It's your boy Chris, and this is the Cashed It with Chris NBA betting show slash podcast presented to you guys, as always, by the Basketball Forever Podcast Network. Check those guys out on all their social media streaming platforms for all your basketball content. A lot of great stuff going on at the Basketball Forever network in general. So, as always, hit the like button for me, subscribe to the videos, drop a comment and a review if you guys listen to this on a replay of the actual podcast. And let's jump into it, man. As always, I always enjoy doing a quick recap of official plays that I gave out yesterday, just to kind of, remain transparent and let you guys know, how my bets have been going. And it's been pretty productive, man. I think over the last week and a half, haven't had too many red days. Yesterday was a day that kind of panned out right in the middle, but we haven't had too many losing days. So yesterday I talked about 2-2 on official plays. We had the Steph Curry and Anthony Edwards 25-point parlay. It was like a minus 105 is what we ended up getting it at, and that was a cash. It did take overtime, but Anthony Edwards scored the 2 points that we needed in overtime. We also had top play of the day. I talked about it yesterday on the yesterday morning on the Cash It with Chris show. Jared Jackson Jr. It took him the fourth quarter and it was late, but he did get the 25, over 24 and a half points plus rebounds. That was my top play of the day yesterday. And then I talked about a 2-team money leg parlay with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the who was the other team on that? The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Sacramento Kings, right? Not knowing if they would cover. And the Thunder, like I said, I tweeted it last night. They let the whole world down, man. I don't know if they was supposed to win by 5.5, but I thought that they would at least win the game. And they just got absolutely abused on the rebound, on rebounding the ball. I watched a lot of that game, and they just one thing about the Rockets is they play hard. They just don't have a lot of shot makers, but they gonna rebound the ball. Jabari Smith Jr., Kenyon Martin Jr., Sengun, like those guys, they cleaned the Thunder up on the rebounding the ball, specifically offensive rebounds, second chance shots. Reason why the Thunder lost that game last night. So it was a sucky loss. I definitely admit that it was a sucky loss, but I like the little two-team money line parlays, man. I think they could be profitable for sure. I know I gave out a 3-team the other day that actually cashed with an alt spread. So that was a loser. And then the other one was the Brooklyn Nets, who never showed up. They could have stayed in Brooklyn for the performance that they put on last night. They were a late ad for me, plus 10 points when I saw it. And that game was over with before it started. I think they were losing 46-16 at the end of the first quarter. Never, ever had a chance in that one. Down by 40 at halftime. And I think they might have finished the game close to about 40 as well. But we overall, like I said, the last few days have been more positive. And I don't think we had excuse me, I don't think we had a losing day. We have had some break-even days like this. So hopefully we can keep going, man, see the board, a little bit clearer and make some money today. So like I said, hit the like button for me and let's get into it. So be a quicker show today. I still got some work to do, kind of diving into some of these games at a greater detail coming up here soon. But first game up, let's talk about the Lakers, who are going into Indiana and actually getting laying a point and a half. Some places 2 points. This line is moving. I see a 2 over on DraftKings. Lakers expected to win this game by 2 points. So the total in this one opened at 239. It's up to 240. I saw a 240 and a half last night for a soft opening as well. So the Lakers 7-3 against the spread in the last 10. This team has actually been playing well. You take out the loss with the to the Brooklyn Nets with no KD, with no LeBron and no AD, and you actually get them at 8-2 against the spread in the last 10 games. They've been I'm sorry, not 8-2. You get them at 6-2 against the spread in their last 10 games with both AD and LeBron in. This is the fourth game of a 5-game road trip for them. They finish up with the Pelicans this weekend, coming off the 6-point overtime win against the Knicks at MSG 2 nights ago. This is also a revenge game for the Lakers. I don't know if people remember that, and it's something that I got to look a little more into. But they did lose to the Indiana Pacers back on November 28th, 116-115. People might remember this. Andrew Nembhard left top of the key on the left-hand side, received a pass from Tyrese Halliburton, who is slated to make his return today, and knocked down a game-winning three-pointer against the Lakers in LA. Like I said, that was November 28th, 116-115. Heartbreaking loss for the Lakers. I vividly remember that one, being a Lakers fan. On the opposite side, this Pacers team, they've struggled. I mentioned that they get, Halliburton is slated to make his return today, but this team is just 1-9 straight up, 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 games. They're coming off 2 days rest after a 12-point loss in Memphis the other day on Sunday. They've lost and haven't covered their last 3 games as well. This is the front end of a back-to-back as well for them. They got Sacramento coming into play, coming into town tomorrow. And I know, for the people who don't, pay too much attention, that game tomorrow may be a bigger game. I think both of these games are equally as big for these two, for this team. A lot of speculation and the rumor trades about Miles Turner or the Lakers potentially getting Buddy Hield. Of course, that talk has kind of died down, but that was going on at the early parts of the season. So I think I always think that you got that aspect of these players were supposed to be on this team. You also got Ben Mathurin, right, who came out and said that LeBron gonna have to show him, right? So you get Ben Mathurin, who may want to put on for his guys here in this game as well. And then, like I said, tomorrow you got Sacramento. I think that's the game that, a lot of people are going to be extremely interested in. It's going to be interesting to see if they play Halliburton on the second leg of a back-to-back tomorrow when they play against the Kings as well. We know that he was traded from the Kings for Mr. Sabonis. So it's a lot going on in this game, man. Like I said, I think my estimation, I know that the Pacers have been playing with a lot of pace. The Lakers have actually slowed down just a tad bit, and their games have actually gone under. If you take away the overtime in the last game, because they have been going to overtime, quite a bit. Two of their last 3 games, and that's something I want to look into as well. Using the SDQL sites to see how teams perform after going to overtime in 2 of their last 3 games. So one of the things I haven't had a chance to quite look at, I'm always transparent with you guys, I don't have a play in this game yet. To me, I think there's some validity to taking the Lakers early, but teams that typically, are playing their third game, not third game in 4 nights, but teams that are going to overtime multiple times throughout the last few games and asking to come into another team's arena and win the game, I think that could be difficult as you get into the fourth quarter, as you get into the second half. So I think taking the Lakers early in this spot. We know that the Pacers typically struggle out the gate. Putting Halliburton back into the lineup could also cause some just some uncertainty for the other guys in their roles. TJ McConnell will take a step back. Of course, Andrew Nembhard will take a step back. So a step back. Everybody else will have to slide into their normal positions. That could take some time. So maybe Lakers first quarter, first half, but I got to look a little more into this one. Let's keep going. So next game up I want to talk about real quick is this Grizzlies and the Cavs game. So I actually saw this one open at 5, and the line's moving now. Just since I got up about an hour ago and started looking at this, well, not looking at this game, but checking the live odds, it was down to 4.5. Now I see it up to 5.5. It looks like on DraftKings. BetOnline actually has it at 6.5. So if you want the Cavs in this spot, you probably want to jump on them now before the spread gets out of hand. We don't have a total in this one. Well, now we do have a total. The total was 226. It looks like it opened at, and it's down to 224. And I think I would agree with that. I think I would agree with the movement going down. So for the Grizzlies, this is the second night of a back-to-back. They'll be traveling from Memphis. Last night, of course, they lost to the Portland Trail Blazers. They were winning in that game, and they ended up losing that game in the fourth quarter. Dame went off yet again. This dude's been absolutely on fire. And they also won that game. The Portland Trail Blazers did without Nurkic, who went down in that game. And I want to say they lost. Oh, Jeremy Grant also left that game with a concussion as well. Concussion protocol. So This is a one-off road game for them, and they come back and host Toronto this weekend. So not the greatest travel spot for the Memphis Grizzlies at all. When I was looking at this game last night, one thing that I looked at was how the Grizzlies do on the second leg of a back-to-back when they had to go from home to road on the second leg of a back-to-back, and they haven't had that happen before. So not the greatest spot, even though we can't actually calculate that and see it analytically. On the opposite side, the Cavs are coming off a 3-point home loss to the Heat. This is the third and final home game for them before they're going out on a road trip and play the Pacers over the weekend. The Cavs are also 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 games following an ATS loss. So they typically bounce back and play extremely well. It was one of the reasons why I didn't really want to take the Cavs the other day when they were playing against the Heat, because I talked about how they have been pretty inconsistent. And I won't chuck that one up to inconsistency, because I think the Heat came in there with revenge on their mind. And I just didn't know how that game was going to go. So I stayed off, and I'm glad I did, because I really wanted to take the Cavs as home favorites. But this Cavs team, what has been consistent is they bounce back against the spread after they lose a game. And when you take the Cavs, you want to take them off a loss versus off a win. That's something that's been extremely profitable. Revenge game for the Cavs as well. I'm not sure if people remember this one, but this was actually earlier this month. I want to say, I'm sorry, earlier last month now, because we're in February, but I think it was January 18th. I want to say they lost this game. The Cleveland Cavaliers did by 1 point when they were extremely shorthanded. Donovan Mitchell didn't play in that game. I remember vividly being on the Grizzlies to clean these guys up by 7.5, I think is what the spread was, and they folded. The Cavs played hard. They played well. I think it was one of the first games back for Ricky Rubio, and he helped this team. Garland went off in that game as well, and they kept that one close. It was a late Dylan Brooks block on Darius Garland to seal the game for them. They won that game 115-114, but they were big underdogs in that spot. So I'd be looking towards the Cavs in this one. And as I say that, the line goes up from the 4.5 that you guys see right here to a 6.5 on DraftKings. So money definitely coming in on Memphis. I didn't play it yet. I'm sorry, money definitely coming in on the Cavs. I didn't play it yet, but the spread is moving in that direction. I think that the Memphis could rest some guys as well. All of their starters played heavy minutes last night, if you watched that game, because they were winning and they were really trying to get that win. This is an out of conference game for them as well. So Grizzlies are part of the West Coast. The Cavs, part of the Western Conference. The Cavs are part of the Eastern Conference. So not a game that they may take extremely serious. And Desmond Bane came back yesterday as well. It's going to be interesting to see if he plays on the second leg of a back-to-back. I would also think that what's the guy name that just came back? Danny Green would also probably not play in this one, making his season return yesterday. So those are my thoughts on that game. Line moving, like I said, if you can find a 4.5 or a 5.5 on some books, I probably would jump on that if you want it, because it was 4.5 when I started talking about it. It's up to 6.5 already, just like that. Totals coming down from 226 down to 224 as well, and we didn't even have a total when I started. So let me go in and update that real quick, so I don't got to do it later. Total is 224 now is what we're looking at. So that's what I got for you guys there. Real quick on the Charlotte game. Let's talk about the Charlotte Hornets in the Chicago Bulls game. So Charlotte, first of a back-to-back for them. They play in Detroit tomorrow, coming off the loss to the Bucks in a game that they did cover. That spread ended up going up to, I think, 11-12, and they ended up losing that game by, I think, 11. So it might have been a push on some books, just depending on where you got your closing line. This is a revenge game for Chicago. Chicago just lost to this team last week. They were catching Chicago, I think, on the second leg of a back-to-back. And Charlotte beat them 111 to 96 in Charlotte, of course. Chicago coming off the home loss to the Clippers the other day. This is the second home game of a 4-game homestand for them. And they're expected to win this game by 7 points today. Line opened up at 6.5 and is moving towards the Chicago Bulls. Charlotte is a team that's very, very difficult to predict, because when they're healthy with LaMelo and they have Terry Rozier and they have Gordon Hayward, this team can really score the ball. one thing I'll also add is that the Chicago Bulls don't play well at home, as a favorite. I think 6.5, 7 points is too many for me. I think I understand that, it being a revenge spot for Chicago. I understand why the line makers have the line set where it is. Like I said, first night of a back-to-back for Charlotte as well. I want to look into how they play in that spot. So I got some more digging to do on this game, but my initial lean is that Charlotte could keep this closer than the 6.5, 7 points. I know it's a revenge spot like I said, for the Chicago Bulls, but to me, I'm not sure if they can, if they win this game by margin. They're needing to win this game by 3 possessions, and I think they could. I think Charlotte could keep it closer than 3 possessions. We just saw Charlotte, who matches up pretty well with the Bucks. They took my money the other day when I had the Bucks minus 6.5 in the first half. So if Charlotte's gonna have a full roster tonight, I think that they could keep this one close. I absolutely think that they could keep this game close. Let's see. I want to say that they have a pretty clean injury report as well. Let me just check real quick and look at that Charlotte game. I know Charlotte's not a team people want to bet on, but I think it's a game where they can actually keep close. So it looks like Cody Martin's the only guy that's listed as out, and Chicago does have a clean injury report as well. The Hornets 5-1-1 ATS their last 7 Thursday games as well, and but just 2-6 ATS in their last 8 meetings. Also 3-7 ATS in their last 10 games in Chicago. So you have to look into those, make sure LaMelo was in. Like I said, it is a revenge game for Chicago. Chicago also coming off loss. They may be motivated in this spot, but I don't know. I probably won't make a play on that one. Just kind of want to talk it out. The last game I do want to touch on just a tad bit is this Pelicans and Mavs game. So I actually like the total in this game. You look at let's break this one down just a tad bit and share what I got for you guys. So Pelicans coming off the loss against the Denver Nuggets. This team has absolutely been atrocious over the last probably like 2 weeks, I want to say altogether. They're 1-9 straight up, 3-7 against the spread. Haven't really been covering spreads. Like I said, coming off that road loss. This is the 3rd game for them of a 3-game road trip as well. So may want to get a win in this spot. They haven't covered a game since January the 24th when they lost against the Denver Nuggets. Even with that being a cover, they did play the Denver Nuggets really, really tough if people were watching that game. I think this is Brandon Ingram's 3rd game back. He came back against the Washington Wizards. I want to say he came back against the Washington Wizards. He didn't play in that back-to-back against the Milwaukee Bucks over the weekend, but he did play in the Denver game. Didn't really shoot the ball well. And the Pelicans have the Lakers on deck for Saturday. So to me, I think it's Pelicans. I think that they can keep this one close, which is why you see the spread come down from 5.5 to 4.5. I also think it's the over. I really, really like the over. I actually played it last night. You see it at 226 right now. I actually played it last night at 225. So I'm going to get into the breakdown of why I like the over. But really quickly, on the Dallas Mavericks side, this team just got Luka back the other day. They did beat Detroit 111-105. That game went under, specifically because Detroit just doesn't score the ball well. That game did go under, but they lost in Utah without Luka. They also beat Phoenix the game that Luka got hurt. So I think in Dallas they do have Golden State on deck for this weekend. They play them on Saturday in Golden State. So this is the second of a 2-game homestand before they start at least a 3-game road trip for them as well. I want to and also I think it's important to mention that this is the second time that these 2 teams have played. The Pelicans won the first game. That game was in New Orleans. And they covered. They were catching 5.5 points in that game back on October 25th, which was during the first week of the season. And they won 113-111. Dallas did beat them 127-117. That was the second night of a back-to-back for the Pelicans. I do remember that spot. They beat them by 10, and I want to say that the Pelicans were shorthanded in that game as well. I don't think that they had all that guys. They didn't. They started Valanciunas, Najee Marshall, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, and Jose Alvarado. So no CJ McCollum, no Brandon Ingram in that spot. Of course, no Zion Williamson as well. So I like the Pelicans to keep this one close today. But what I like even more is the total. So let me get into why I like the total real quick. And I probably won't play double dip and play a side in this one, but real quick, why I like why I like the over. So you look at the Pelicans, this team does not play as much defense as they do on the road as they do at home. I think that that's something that we've all kind of paid attention to throughout the course of the season. At home, they go under. On the road, they go over. This team's actually, the Pelicans, 12-4 to the over as as road dogs this season, 6-2 to the over in conference games as road dogs as well. You look at the Mavs on the opposite side, they're 16-8 to the over as home favorites, right? Which means to me that they don't play as much defense at home as they do on the road. So just those three trends that I've gave you guys already is enough to be profitable if you look at that spot and you're just playing the numbers. You also look at the Mavs, they're 11-5 to the over as home favorites in conference games. So in conference games as home favorites is when their defense drops even more. You look at the defense, the Mavs are 19th defensively last 5 games. The Pels, 21st defensively last 5 games. This is Brandon Ingram's 3rd or 4th game back, which I think should absolutely help New Orleans offensively, even though he wasn't extremely productive in his previous game against the Denver Nuggets the other day. The over for these two teams is 4-1 in the last 5 meetings, no matter where they played. The over is also 7-3 last 10 meetings in Dallas specifically. So I think if I had a best bet for today, it would be looking at the over in this game. I think this game goes over the total. Like I said, I got it last night at 225. It's up to 226 right now. I think it goes up throughout the day. I absolutely think it goes up throughout the day. I think it probably finishes about 227, maybe even higher than that, because like I said, the Pelicans haven't been playing, they don't play as great defense on the road. And in Dallas, even without Christian Wood, they still been going over their totals as a home favorite in conference games specifically. So those are the games I wanted to touch on, man. If you wanted the Denver Nuggets, you definitely should have got them last night. I don't know if people were watching this. If you really into betting, then you probably was watching this. So knowing that the Denver Nuggets had the Golden State Warriors, and this is the last game I'm gonna touch on real quick before I get up out of here. Knowing that the Golden State Warriors played against the Denver Nuggets, and I talked about this yesterday, I think at least once on one of the shows that I did. Knowing that the Golden State Warriors had the Denver Nuggets yesterday, they weren't going to be in a really good spot. You were going to have to lay a price to fade them, because I don't think Coach Steve Kerr has come out and said whether the guys are going to play. But coming off an overtime game, you just automatically assume that they're not going to play, especially with travel and the second leg of a back-to-back, traveling from Minnesota to Denver. And when the game went to overtime, I saw the Nuggets as 9.5 point favorites. As soon as tip-off started at overtime, they immediately went to 11 point dogs. And now I see it all the way up to 12. So you had a chance last night if you wanted to get on that. I think the number might be a tad bit too high, even though I think it is a big Denver. It is a Denver spot for sure. Catching the Golden State Warriors, who beat them last year in the playoffs, 9.5, yeah, but 11.5 and 12, I think it's a tad bit too much. So when I looked at it last night, the Warriors were laying. The Warriors were catching 9.5 points as road dogs, and the total was 239. Now I see the total actually, that was a soft total. The total is right now is 233, and the Denver Nuggets are laying 12.5 points. So you got to pay attention and catch these games when you can. I didn't want to get on the Denver Nuggets. I thought that even the 9.5 was a tad bit too much. Looking back, it might not have been. So probably should have got there last night. I don't like it as much at 12.5. Especially not knowing if the guys will play for the Golden State Warriors, even though I do anticipate them not playing. I think waiting for that news may be more beneficial. So that's what I got for you guys today, man. Like I said, just a quick recap. I do have a little bit more work to do on the Lakers in the Pacers game, but I would lean towards the Lakers first half. Not sure if they cover the full game, but they should have a lead, end of the first quarter, end of the first half. I'll do more work and get back to you on that. The Cavs and the Grizzlies. Line already moved live from 4.5 up to 6. If you guys joined late, 6.5 as well on some books, and I do anticipate it to get higher throughout the day. The Grizzlies played their hearts out last night to lose that game in the fourth quarter. Probably extremely tired in this spot tonight. It's going to be interesting to see if Desmond Bane goes again today. Like I said, Danny Green probably not going to be a part of the rotation. The Grizzlies have struggled to score the ball on the road. I think that's something that we've paid really close attention to over the last 2 weeks. They're coming off a 5-game road trip where they lost every single game, and they lost it because their offense was terrible in all those spots. I don't think they hit the team total one time in any of those games. Heat and the Knicks, Not a game that I really dove into too much, but I do like the Heat. I think that the Heat can beat the Knicks, by a bucket tonight. But I got a little more work to do. Extremely low total in that game as well. Hornets and the Bulls. I talked about taking the Hornets. I don't want to lay 7 points at home with the Bulls. I think it's just a tad bit too many. Even though the Hornets did just beat this team and it's a revenge game, quick revenge for the Bulls, being that it was last week. And then the top play of the day, in my estimation, so far anyway, and the only bet that I have placed is the New Orleans Pelicans, the Dallas Mavericks to go over the total of 225.5. I like the 226 as well. I think this game touched 230 today, and I do anticipate the total to go up. So those are my looks for today. Like I said, I still got some work to do on the card. Clippers play the Bucks, and I haven't even touched on that game. And I think that's going to be an interesting game as well. Spread opened at 4. It's up to 4.5. It's going to be interesting to see, if the Clippers can keep this one close. The Bucks have been balling recently. So I got to dive into that game a little bit more as well. Hit the like button for me if you guys can. Subscribe to the pod. Check me out on all podcast streaming platforms. You can just, look for Cashed It with Chris podcast or type in ChrisBeCappinn in Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leave me a 5-star review over there as well, man. It only helps. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me and tuning in this morning. Best of luck on you guys' action for today. We'll be back as always at 5:15 for the ChrisBeCappinn NBA show. Bet with your head, not over it, man. Best of luck to you guys today. I'm out.